Hello and happy Saturday morning. Today I want to just sort of take you along with me. I'm going to be doing some embroidery on my 770 today, my Bernina 770. Just up front to let you know I do not have the upgrade and I do not have the new smart technology module. I'm just using the good old-fashioned Bernina 770, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I've got my Halloween quilt all finished. I have to take the basting threads out. I've still got some basting threads in here, and I still have a couple of threads to bury, but my Halloween quilt is all quilted. I did it with a cute little spider web design from Amelie Scott. Got the binding on. There's the backing, and on some of the backing, let me see if I can find it. I put some of the extra jelly roll strips that I had left over, and there's my label. Here's my label here. Got that on there. And I tacked this down and then quilted it in with the rest of the quilting. I tacked it to the backing, and this goes the whole length of the back of the quilt, so it makes for a little bit of extra interest there. But from my Halloween quilt, I have all these scraps left over. Let me see if I can get that. There we go. So I have all these scraps left over. So I am going to make a couple of cute little Halloween tea towels from flour sack towels for my kitchen. So I wanted to show you, I have videos, other videos on how to make embroidered flour sack tea towels, but this one is with the squirrels and the prairie points and a little bit extra fabric here. This one, the embroidery, and this has eyelet on it on top and bottom, and a strip of fabric. And anytime you have jelly roll strips or scraps of fabric left over that you can use, you can always incorporate them into some sort of a little tea towel or pillow idea, something like that. This is a smaller, I even had this leftover eyelet. So scraps, this is something you can do with your scraps. So what I'm going to do today, you can get these tea towels in all colors, and I'm going to be using this unbleached one today. I usually get them in bleached and unbleached, and I get them from Mary's Kitchen, and I'll put the link in the description box for you. But I'm going to be using this unbleached one today because I like the look of it. And they all come with a little hanger here. Here's a little hanger. And so you're going to want that at the top right corner, so you make sure you got your embroidery going the right way. So here's my plan for this tea towel. I took when I trimmed off the sides of my quilt after I got it quilted, I had enough of the backing that I could save a few strips of that. So I'm going to, this is just folded over. It's about, I don't know, 2 inches or 2.5 inches. And I folded it over, and I haven't done anything else with it but that. This is a leftover jelly roll strip, and I have pressed under 1/4 inch on one side, and I will on the other side too. And I'm thinking of doing like this and having kind of a little flange here. And these are all just leftovers from my Halloween quilt. And I purchased this. I'll get you a link. And this design is one of, I believe, 5 or 6. So, and I printed this off. I have some registration marks going this way and this way on here, and I've printed it off at actual size. So I'm going to put that right about in the middle, And so I'm just kind of looking at this and gauging how far down I want my design, and you know, where I'm going to put it. Just getting some ideas. And so this is kind of what I want to do today. So I'll go ahead and I'll press under the other 1/4 inch on this. So that's going to put me right about there for my design. And when you get this design, when you print off the PDF, it comes with all the thread color changes and so forth. And I've already looked on here, and I've put some little tick marks beside the colors that are used more than once. I just kind of looked through, and I could see that some colors were used more than once, and I just put a tick mark by those so that I could remember which ones not to put away when I'm done with them. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to press and hoop this up, and then we'll go do some embroidery on the machine and make a cute little Halloween towel. So I'm going to press my towel. When I get these, the first thing I do with my little flour sack towels is I put them in the washer on warm, and I do launder them, and I dry them in the dryer on a high heat so that I get all the shrinkage out. And they usually come out of the dryer looking just like flour sack towels look. And so before I go ahead and embroider, I always give them a press, and I'm using Best Press in my little mister. I've got Best Press in there. And whenever you're getting ready to embroider something that has a back and a front, like a pocket or a towel or even a bath towel or tea towel or something like this, when you're looking to be able to find the center and where you want to put your stitching, you've got to do it from the wrong side. You can do it from the right side, but when you hoop your project, when I hoop this little towel, it has to be right side up and wrong side down against the hoop. So I'm going to fold mine right sides together, and I'm going to find the center down here on this end, because this is where I want to do my embroidery. And flour sack towels, I don't think they're ever going to be exactly square. I think these are 27 by 27, but because of the nature of cotton, I don't know if you'll ever be able to square it up perfectly. So I'm going to just give it a little press here together, and then I'm going to come down this crease, but I'm not going to press it in really hard because it's too hard to get it out. So there it is. So then I decided that I wanted my trim to be about this far up. And you notice I'm not using a ruler or anything like that. I'm just using, and this is printed off at actual size, so you would have to have that. But here we go. I'm not using a ruler, and I'm just kind of visualizing, you know, about how high I want my design to be, and where I want my trim to start. And since I already have my little flange folded and pressed, I can just lay it on there and kind of see. And I'm just eyeballing this, and so right about here is where I want the bottom of my design. So I'm going to fold my towel up right on my paper, fold it across, line things up, And I'm taking my paper away, and I'm going to do just like I did on the first crease. I'm going to hit it, but I'm not going to mash it in there. So now I know where the bottom line is of my design, where I need to put it in my hoop. So when I hoop this, I'm going to show you here in just a minute how to do that. When I hoop this line here is going to be the bottom of my design. This is wrong side out. I have my loop at the top. Remember that. That's really important, otherwise you'll embroider your towel upside down. And so I will put this in my hoop, centered up with this line at the bottom where I want my stitching to be on the lower end, where I want my design to sit. Then I will unroll it and press it down on my, I'm going to use sticky tearaway. And there's how I would hoop it. So let's go do the hooping for real, and you'll be able to see just how I do it. Okay, I'm getting ready to hoop, and I'm going to be using a jumbo hoop. A jumbo hoop is, actually it's too large for the 770, but I have it and I use it all the time. There's about this much, just about this much of the left-hand side of the hoop that I cannot access, but it's the same the rest of the way as the maxi hoop size, and it works just perfectly for me. And someday if I ever get an 880, I've already got a jumbo hoop on hand. So we're going to take this apart, and I am going to get a piece. This is a piece of just medium weight tearaway, just plain old medium weight tearaway. And whenever you're doing any kind of embroidery, you should always use 2 layers of stabilizer. Doesn't matter what kind of embroidery you're doing, you should use 2 layers of stabilizer. This is my sticky back tearaway. This is a paper side, and this is sticky underneath this paper. So you cannot buy this, as far as I know, wide enough to fit in the jumbo hoop. So I buy the widest that I can get, and I can fit it in my hoop. So let's do this. And this is the way they'll teach you at any Bernina class. This is pretty much the way they'll teach you to hoop, no matter what size hoop you're using. You'll have your lower hoop and your outer hoop and your inner hoop. And you'll line everything up, and you'll get a hold, and this is nice and open right here. I've got my ratchet all the way open, and I'm going to just take a hold of this, come over to my outer hoop, and set it in. And sticky back tearaway with the paper on it is a little bit stiff to get it down in there, but you can do it. I've got faith in you. You can do it. I'm going to tighten up just a little bit. Smooth. Watch what I'm doing here. Tighten it the rest of the way up. And then I'm going to take my ratchet and I'm going to turn it one more turn, and it's going to clank, kind of click loud, and that will be it. It won't matter how many more times you turn your ratchet, it will not get any tighter. That's it. So now I'm going to burp my hoop, which means I'm going to push the inner hoop out just a little bit. See this little tiny lip coming along there? So I'm just going to, it's called burping your hoop. So I'm just going to burp it so that my inner hoop is outside the back by about 1/16 of an inch all the way around. And you can feel it with your fingers, so you'll know that it's there. And some people trim their extra, but I don't. I don't mind it. So now we need a stylus. I gotta find a stylus. Hold on. I know I got one here somewhere. So you'll take your stylus and you'll go all the way around the outside edge. Not too hard. You don't want to go through all your layers. And then I usually go down through the middle and connect up down here at this end. And I don't know why it works better for me, but it does. I usually pull my paper, when you're hooping, make sure you put this shiny paper up on the upside. But mine works better if I pull up. I don't know that it makes a big difference, but however you do it, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. You can do it. And it won't matter really which direction you pull. It just works better for me if I pull up. So that, because of that, when I get ready to pull this second half off, I turn my hoop. And you want to, you know, be careful, because you don't want to go through, poke a hole in your stabilizer after you've gone to all that trouble to get it hooped. Alrighty, now let's put the hoop back so that we don't make a mistake that way. So here is my side that connects to my module. Here's my ratchet. Here is the inside of my machine's harp or throat, right here. So I am going to put my tea towel in, and remember I ironed it wrong side out, and I folded it up where I want the bottom of my design to end up. So since I can't use, I don't know, a couple inches over here, I know the bottom of my design is going to be over here. So here are my central marks, and here are my center marks for the top and the bottom, and the center marks for across the middle. And so I'm going to put the bottom of my design right about there. I don't know, I guess it's maybe a ½ inch, might be 3/8. And then I'm going to come across to the other, and I'm lining up with my marks here. Let's see. Hey. Whoop. All right, there, that might be a little better. Okay, and so now I'm going to just kind of gently stick it down. I'm not going to really go hard at it. So now it's time to unfold, and I'm going to head for the other side of my hoop and hope that it, see, I've got some wrinkles. All I have to do is straighten them out. Not a big deal. And this is a tea towel. I mean, you know, it's not something that, if it doesn't turn out absolutely perfect, it's not something that you're going to get thrown in jail for or whatever. So there we are. Now I'm all hooped up. Here's the bottom of my towel, top of my towel. Here's my little hook loop thingy on the back like it's supposed to be. Right side up, bottom of my design. It'll sit on here just like this, and it'll fit, and I'm going to line my stitching up with these registration marks that's on my printout. So okay, we're ready to go to the machine and start with our embroidery. We're all hooped up. We don't have to do anything else. Nothing's going to go anywhere. This is nice and stuck down. So let's go over to the machine and we'll get all set up and we'll do this towel. So we're getting ready to go. Wanted to just say I've got a 65/9 needle in my machine. I don't want to make really big holes. This is just a small towel, lightweight fabric, so I don't want a great big needle that's going to make huge holes in my project. So I'm going to use a 65/9. I'm going to use my yellow bobbin case, which is designed for free motion quilting and embroidery, and it's just a little bit higher tension, and I love it. I've had it a couple of years and I really love it. I'm going to have my tweezers and my scissors handy. I'm using a 15-foot, you can use your 26-foot too, single hole needle plate, and I'm using thread art thread. And I have used a thread conversion chart and pulled all my threads so that my project is going to come out looking just like the picture on my embroidery color sheet that I printed out. You can get free color conversion charts online just about any place. And this design has been stitched in Madeira, and I have thread art thread, which I really like. It's a polyester. This is a 40 weight polyester thread, and I converted the Madeira colors to isocord colors and then matched them to my thread art thread. And this is how I have my machine threaded. I wanted to, I don't have a thread stand, but here is my thread right here. It's just sitting right here on my table beside my machine, and it goes up and over the top of my machine through the staple right here, and then over, and it is threaded just like I would thread any other thread, and down and out through my needle. So there we go. So now we're going to pull up my design. Try to hold you over here so you can see. So it's on my USB stick, and it's already, my USB stick is already in my machine. And you should only have 1 or 2 designs on your USB stick. I have way too many. Here's my design, and it wants to put it in the maxi hoop, but I don't have a maxi hoop. I have the jumbo. So I am going to put this in my jumbo hoop, and you can see that it goes this way, so I need to rotate it. So I'm going to hit my information icon and my rotate icon, and I'm going to, you can't turn it 1 degree at a time, but I'm going to turn mine 90 degrees at a time. So now it's going the right way because my towel top is over here, my towel bottom is over here, and it's centered in my hoop, and I'm ready to send it to the machine. So now my machine wants me to let it calibrate the hoop a little bit. If I could just get this to hold still. There we go. Maybe that'll help. So I'm going to let it move the arm, and now with the arrow pointing down, it's asking me to please attach the hoop. There's kind of a sequence of things you have to go through, but if you just follow the directions on the screen, you'll get along just great. It'll work out fine. Just do what the screen is asking you to do. Look at everything. Make sure you've got that all lined up. Okay, so I'm going to put you down slowly, so I don't want to drop you. There you go. And I'm going to move my scissors, my tweezers out of the way. And I'm going to put my hoop on because that's what it wants. It's asking for my hoop. And remember, we hooped up our towel so that the part that hooks onto the machine is over here and my ratchet is down here. That way we're sure that we're getting the towel going the right way. There we go. Now it's on. Now let me see if I can back you out a little bit. I think I can. And there you go. Now you can see just about pretty good there where my hoop is on my machine. And up here now on my screen it's asking me to let it go do its little thing, and so I'm going to tell it okay, and it has gone to the first stitching place. And I actually think that I want to do a basting box, and so I'm going to let it do a basting box. I've got to put my bobbin in, and I'm using white 60 weight thread in my bobbin. When you're doing embroidery, you always want to do a lighter thread in your bobbin. So we'll pull that up, and let's go ahead and do a basting box. Oh, okay, so here's something that comes up every so often on the group. Look at that screen. It says, it's asking me a question. It says, are you sure that you have the 26 foot and the single hole needle plate on? Let's check on that. So I'm going to go over here, and this is not highlighted. It's the first foot on my rows here, but that doesn't mean anything. I have to tell the machine that I definitely have that foot on. So watch what happens. A little white line will come around there, and now it is highlighted, and the machine knows that I have that one on. And it's the same thing with my 0mm stitch plate right here. So now we should be able to go and do just great. Hold on. Here we go. Alright, here we go. We're going to do a basting box. And this is great because it will help me see exactly where my design is going to end up on my towel too. And remember, I said I wanted the bottom of my design to be kind of down pretty low. So when I see how this basting box is situated on my towel here, oh, that's going to be just perfect. Remember when I said it's going to be about 3/8 or ½ an inch? That's what it is. So I'm going to trim these threads off right while I can. And I always save my embroidery threads. All the trimmings, I save them. And if you save yours, one of these days we'll do something really fun with our saved threads. Okay, I have my thread cutter turned off. I just figured it out. I have it turned off because I've been quilting, doing edge-to-edge quilting, and so I just finished my Halloween quilt, so I've got my thread cutter turned off. So I'm going to turn it on my screen, but I do have to go into my settings and turn it on. And I want my jump stitches to be cut. So there we go. Alright, we should be able to go now. So I can't pull up my bobbin thread because it's tied on, but that's okay. I'll just go ahead and we're going to do the first stitches, and these are all in order. And if you look on your sheet, every place where it's black on here, that's what's going to be stitching. You see all these little places where there's black? That's where the stitching is going to happen on this stitch number. So we have 1, 2, 3, and we'll have 22 stitch steps on this one before we're done. But so we're going to do one, and it's going to be on the outside edges of the main pumpkin. And I have this color, And so we're ready to start. So here we go. I'm going to stop the machine and reach in here and trim my thread. And away we go. This is going to take 2 minutes. I do not have my machine going really fast. I'm a little bit past halfway on my speed bar. But Bernina has a safety feature built in so that you cannot hurt your module or your machine if you have a larger hoop on. It will only let it go so fast. It's governed to not go very fast when you have a big hoop on. And this is my jumbo hoop, remember? So we're not going to go terribly fast, but that's okay. I don't sew very fast anyway. And you've probably heard me say this before, but nothing done in a hurry ever turns out very good. So take your time and enjoy your machine, enjoy your embroidery process. It's good to go slow. You can keep an eye on your stitches. You can see if you need to do any tension adjustments, which you can see this is stitching perfectly and I don't have to do anything. And here in just a second it's going to ask me for the next color. That's the biggest thing about doing a large, colorful embroidery project is that there are a lot of color changes. But the finished product is so worth it. Oh, they're so beautiful. And just think how great our little towel's going to look when we're done. Okay, it's going to ask me now for the next thread. So you know to clip your thread up at the top and pull it down through the needle. Don't ever pull your thread backwards. And I am not a big fan of that flossing thing that people sometimes suggest when you're threading your thread. I don't think that flossing is a good idea. You're going to get a tremendous amount of lint buildup in your tension discs, and man, what a mess it will be. And you'll end up at your dealer having a costly repair. So I am going to excuse me if I can find my thing here. I am going to shut off the video and go a little ways on the design, and then I'll be back. One of the pumpkins on our embroidery design is an applique, and this just makes this whole design so cute, lots of fun. So I'm going to use the same fabric here that for my applique pumpkin that I'm using for my flange across the bottom down here below my strip of fabric. And so when you're doing an applique, this works like for in the hoop kinds of designs. The first thing it's going to do is stitch out a die line or a placement stitch or a placement line. So let's do that, because that's going to show us where to put the fabric. There we go. Now we are going to put our fabric on and stitch it down. So we want to be sure to cover in, you know, pretty generous way, a pretty generous way. We want to cover all the areas where that stitching line is. And I am going to bring up my bobbin thread. I'm trying to keep this neat on the back because, of course, our little towel, you're going to see it on the back. And when you pull up your bobbin thread, that really helps a lot with, oh, you know, the nesting and funny little thread tangles that might show up on the back. Okay, now I think we're going to trim this. Let me see. Yep, I think we're going to trim this now. So I might have to take it out of the machine, but not off the hoop or out of the hoop. Let me get this big part off and trim it out of here. The lady that designed this this embroidery design, Marianne from Blom Garden. I probably didn't say that very well because she's from a different country and she's on Etsy. She does such a great job with digitizing her designs that I've bought, I don't know, quite a few designs from her, and they all stitch out so nice, and she has such great ideas. Okay, let's see where we're at here. I might trim that just a little bit. I might trim this one a little bit. You want to get pretty close, but you don't want to trim your stitching. And a little huffing and puffing goes quite a ways here too. Alright, let's see how we do. We'll put this back on, and since I moved my hoop, or well, took it off the machine and putting it back on, I want to be sure and reposition my towel so that I am absolutely positive that none of it is tucked up underneath here and is going to get caught in the stitching. Alright, let's see now. I need to look and see if I have the right color thread. I'll be right. Alrighty, all threaded up with the right color of thread, and here we go. It's just doing kind of a little fun bean stitch kind of around the outside edge, a very small bean stitch, and this is meant to look a little bit raggedy, so it's got kind of a raw edge feel to it, but not very much, just about a 1/16 of an inch or less. The pumpkins are all done, and if you wanted to, you could just stop here and go ahead and put your trim on and your towel could be done. But there's a leaf, kind of a little leaf arch that comes with this that is really cute. And so I'm going to go ahead and stitch that leaf arch on there. But if you wanted to, you could stop here and finish your towel. So I'll put this back on my machine. Check to make sure there's no towel underneath. And stitch my leaf arch. Okay, our design's all finished. I'll trim some threads, check out the back, make sure it's okay. Anytime you have a large embroidery like this, you're definitely going to have some threads to clip on the back, and you know, it's a lot of starts and stops, but we'll clean it up and it'll look just grand. So we're back over at the work surface here, my workstation, and I'm taking out my basting box, and this is the back side. You can see it turned out okay, and usually if your tensions are right and you're not going too fast and you're using the right threads for the purpose, the right needle for the purpose, and so forth, you shouldn't have, it shouldn't look bad on the back when you're done. And I haven't trimmed this up much. It's got quite a bit of little threads on the back, but I'm going to leave those because you don't want to cut off the knots that like these little knots that the machine makes. Otherwise your stitching will fray. And you don't want that. So There is the basting thread out. Almost. There we go. All right, let's take it out of the hoop. There we go. That looks pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so this is the sticky back. You can see how you can pull it off. But since I have 2 layers here, I am not going to pull both layers at the same time to take this off. I'm going to take off this layer, and a lot of this will wash out. There are different designs that are pretty involved, and there's just times when you're not going to be able to get it all out. But you know, since tearaway stabilizer is kind of a paper product, it'll wash away. But I'll try to get as much of it as I can. And I'll do the same thing with the sticky back. So I'm just taking it off 1 layer at a time, because I don't want to pull my stitches. So I'll let that happen after all our hard work. Okay, let's see if we can get this off. And this, I usually take my fingernail and just do a little tear here along the edge, because I don't want it to pull those stitches. So get most of it off, and then I'll be able to get, I can use my, if it sticks on there too much, you can use your stiletto and kind of lift it up a little bit and peel it off. And it will also, this will also wash out. So not a problem. Okay, I got most of it. Okay, so let's have a look and see about, okay, I'm going to go ahead and give this a press, and I'm going to press down the other long side of my long piece here, and I'll be right back. I'm going to go ahead and press my towel, and I'm going to press my trim, and I'll be right back. Okay, got everything pressed up, and I'm just kind of pinning this in place. And with flour sack towels, they're never perfectly square. So the way that I get this close as I can is I kind of position it underneath my design where I want it, and then I measure on this end and I measure on this end, and I make those the same, and then I just try to make this straight. Down here it may be more or less than what it is on the ends, but that's what makes them look sort of primitive, like flour sack tea towels might. Sort of old-fashioned, I guess you might call it. And I've left a little overhang on both ends, and I'm going to turn that under, just like I did the top and bottom here. And I'm going to go ahead and just slide my little flange under there, and I'm kind of aiming at a 1/4 inch under here, and I'll do it kind of like I did the top. I'll just eyeball it and see how it looks. And I'm going to do the same thing. So that's about 1 inch, and that's 1 inch. So it's just right. So now I can go ahead and pin the other side. And just for some extra ideas, you know, you could have just lots and lots of fun with this. You could put some wash away stabilizer behind this flange by itself, not on the towel, just by itself. And you could go along and do a decorative stitch in a scallop maybe, or something along the edge with your machine. Choose one of your decorative stitches and add some black or dark orange or something, or you could put some black rickrack down off the bottom there. You could make the flange a ruffle. That'd be cute. You could take pearl cotton and do big utility stitches in orange and black all around the whole outside of the tea towel and really dress it up. I mean, you know, there just isn't any limit. You could sew some buttons on, or if you're a quilter, you could make some yo-yos and sew those on here and there. They would look cute. Okay, I'm going to trim my end about 3/8 of an inch longer than the edge of my towel. And I'm just going to turn it under. And you can turn it under to the absolute edge of the towel, or you can turn it under to the inside of the hem on the towel. You can do whatever your little heart desires. And I'm just going to top stitch this on, and I'm going to leave my flange loose. I'm going to top stitch the end on, but I'm just going to top stitch on the inside of my black jelly roll strip here with the pumpkins on it, so that my flange is loose. I'm just stitching about 1/8 of an inch. I'm using the inside of my presser foot, and I have a 37D foot on, and I'm using my dual feed, because anytime you have a D foot you want to have your dual feed engaged. So So, and I'm coming down here to the end. So I want to make sure that's nice and pretty down here. Sometimes I use a pin to kind of position things if I need to. So we're going to stop and then we're going to pivot and go down. There we go. Okay. I might bump you because my needle, well, let's see, I'll just use my up here and then I won't bump you. Here we go. Okay, come down the way. Let's see here. I'm going to need my pin to tuck under here just a little bit. Always want it to look neat. I know no one will ever see it, but I want it to look neat. So I'm going to top stitch all the way down and back tack a little bit, and then I'll go back up and there we go. Now then I'll go back up and head across and where my flange is. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Everybody okay? Hope you're not getting seasick here. Okay, here we go. Come on, baby. She's stuck on the thing. I'll back tack just a minute. Here we go. Okay, get my needle out and my pin out. All right. Sometimes, if there is I don't ever change the pressure on my presser foot, and sometimes going over these folded edges, it takes a little finessing. There we go. All right, I'm gonna just go on down this side and I'll finish up at the other end just like I did just now on this end, and my towel will be done. My towel's all finished, and it was a lot of fun, just a lot of fun. So we've got some fun embroidery and paired up with a little bit of applique and some cute bands on here that were just leftovers from my Halloween quilt. A great way to use up scraps. Easy design, not hard to follow. If you purchase this design, you get step by step by step. Very easy. Get all your colors. If it's in Madeira thread, but if you don't use Madeira, you can always use a color conversion chart, which is what I did. And sometimes I just throw caution to the wind and I just match the colors to what I have in my drawer. And things usually turn out looking really, really cute, and they may not be exactly like the picture, but they're pretty close. I don't always pull threads before I start. You know, it's fun to just kind of do your own thing once in a while. This design I got on Etsy. It came with 5 other designs, so you get 6 designs in a pack. And the name of the shop is Fru, F-R-U, Blomgren, B-L-O-M-G-R-E-N. It is Marianne Fredrickson who does this digitizing of these, and she just does an outstanding job. So it's everything I've ever gotten from her, and I have quite a few of her designs, has always stitched out perfectly and beautifully. A couple of tips to remember is to wash and dry your tea towels, your flour sack towels, and press them with a little best press.
And when you press your towel after your embroidery is done, I do use steam on this, but not right on my design, especially if I don't have all the stabilizer removed yet. After it's been washed a couple times and all the stabilizer is out, then you can use some steam on this and maybe press it from the back side. Look it over good if you're giving it as a gift, and make sure you have all your threads cleaned up. And I hope you'll try this. This was so much fun, and it didn't take very long at all. Enjoy your beautiful, beautiful Bernina. And if you have any questions or you need help, you can certainly ask, and I'm glad to help you, as always. So I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Make something pretty and take pictures and tag me and post on the group, and let me see your gorgeous embroidery on your details.